Still
All right,
mute.
there we go. We got the mute. All right. Everybody hear me all right? Cool. Thank you, Stacy Tyler. That's awesome, man. Great job. I love the perseverance there and certainly exciting opportunity. And just to add one thing to what Andy said, those are the kind of relationships that maybe start small, but as the relationship grows, more and more business keeps coming. And I think there's a lot of upside there. So that's really exciting. Hey, I want to talk to you about something really important tonight, and I'm going to call on some people to help out as we go. And I want to start by saying I'm encouraging everybody to suspend what they currently believe about this topic, because sometimes when we cover a topic that you think you understand, your brain will tune out. Okay, I've heard this before. I know this. But my question for you, and this isn't meant to be offensive, or I hope nobody takes this personally, this is just a question for you to consider internally, is based on my results, how well do I understand this topic? Okay, so that's the question. You don't have to answer to anybody else, but I want you to answer to yourself. Based on my results, how well do I understand this topic? So we're going to talk about contacting people tonight. This is where everything starts and ends in this business, because if you're not great at contacting people, you're not going to get to all the stuff we do, all the things we can help people with, all the money to be made, all the lives to be changed, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to take you guys through contacting, hopefully in a fresh way. And I'm going to cover some things that aren't fresh, but hopefully add a little sizzle to it, if you will, to steal a word from Bryce Peterson. As we go. But I want to set the stage with painting a picture for you guys, right? So I always try to do this when I start a training. I always try to stretch your vision just a bit of why it's worth it to contact a lot of people in this business. And I have 1,000 stories I could pull from 20 years, but I always try to pull recent stories. So I just thought I'm going to tell you guys about my day today, and then we're going to take some things from it and we're going to dig in some concepts. So hopefully this is going to be good for everybody. So let me tell you about my day today, you guys. I started my day business-wise. I won't go through waking up and working out and all that. But the point is, guys, I had 3 Zoom meetings today from my home office in my dream home, okay? So I'm in a setting that I love, time with my family, everything under my control in terms of schedule. I do 3 Zoom meetings. Let me tell you about the 3 Zoom meetings I did. Number 1, the first meeting I did was with a new client. That's a relationship that's been brewing for a while, but it's time to, they're ready to really start talking business. And they've been good savers their whole life, have a long-standing relationship with an advisor. Getting to the point, got a commitment to pick up about $250,000 in assets. It's just the start of that relationship, similar to Tyler, not quite the scale of what Tyler's talking about, but it's the start of much more to come with that business. Got a little break, got a few things done. My next Zoom meeting was with a client I've had for about 1.5 years. And in that meeting, I've already done all the business there is to do. We're managing some decent money. There's insurance in place, everything that we do, college funds. And their big question to me was, Tyson, we just bought a new home literally like a month ago, and they want to finish the basement. These guys have been great savers their whole life. And they've got about $100,000 in liquid savings. Some of it's in a folio account I manage, some is in the bank. And based on all their goals and everything we worked through, I gave them permission. They were asking, they said, Tyson, we're looking for you to tell us this is okay. So I want to put that preface. But after going through everything, I said, you guys, I think you can spend $50,000 on your house. I think that's, you guys have so much already on track for retirement. You're saving, all the right things are happening. And you guys, that was a cool experience to do and give that somebody. They were excited. They looked at each other. I mean, that's just fun, right? Take away compensation, take away everything. Man, what a role we get to have in people's life. And then about 90 minutes later, I had a really, really fun call. And that's with an 84-year-old client. She's been a client of mine for about 10 years now. And I manage virtually her entire life savings, which is a modest amount. It's a few $100,000. And she's a spry 84-year-old, still living on her own and doing well. But I've had her in some annuities that have had guaranteed income payments that she's been living on for years now. But she's been coming to me the last couple of years, Tyson, is there any way of getting more income? And this isn't an annuity training, so I'm going to get right to the punchline here. based on her age, based on the market doing well, an opportunity has presented itself where we made some shifts. And you guys, I figured out how to give her $600 more a month in guaranteed income for the rest of her life, just by shifting some strategies that we're doing. I mean, the thing's going to pay me a couple $1,000s to do, but I was doing the Zoom call with my 84-year-old client and her 52-year-old daughter. And the daughter about fell out of her chair. I mean, she tried to almost give me a hug on the Zoom. She's like, you have no idea what this does. This allows us to, because, eventually my client, Betty, is not going to be able to live in her home, and she wants something that's kind of a quasi-assisted living and needs a bit more cash flow to do it. And you guys, money is just a mechanism that allows us to do all the things in our life that are most important to us. And we have that treasured role to be able to help people utilize their financial resources in better ways. And you guys, the fulfillment of these things is indescribable. I love the income we have and the freedom and all those things, but you guys, it's unbelievable to have this role in people's lives. But where did these three let's take a quick time out. Who wouldn't want a career like that, right? I mean, who wouldn't want to have a career where you can, I always get to deliver good news. I think Andy could attest this, some of our other experienced advisors. Sometimes it's some tough love or, hey, the market's down right now. But today was a fun day. And the question becomes, it's all from contacting you guys. You guys, there's no salaried jobs out there where you get to have this role in people's lives, not even in this industry, right? I mean, if you want customers to come to you, you can go get a job at Dick's or something, and people walk in because they're looking for a new pair of basketball shoes. But man, if you want to have some serious role in people's lives, right? You want to have some serious income, some serious influence. This is where you got to go find people to have build these relationships and have these conversations. Guys, contacting is the gateway to all of these things. Contacting is a gateway to everything you want in your life, okay? And I think, if I could speak for a lot of people, I think it's the very activity that most of us resist the most. I mean, we'll come up with almost anything to do in our businesses other than just flat get on the phone and contact people, because it's uncomfortable. There's some uncertainty. There's the what ifs. There's the what if they say no? What are they gonna think? What if I flub the script? What if they're not interested and I'm in my mind counting on them being a prospect in my business? And we do all these things and we convince ourselves to do busy work and other stuff. Maybe I'll study for my license. Maybe I'll work on that continuing education. Maybe I'll read this book. Maybe I'll listen to a podcast. And we'll do other things that are, although many of those things are good, those aren't going to move the needle in your business. So most people that aren't where they want in this business, it's for a flat deficit of contacting people. Okay. Now, I'm going to be really transparent with you, because that's the only thing I can ever offer you is that, your business is going to evolve over time, right? The dream we sell here is that one day, if you build this right, your business will have a life of its own. I mean, if you think about it, guys, I'm not recruiting people to a business where, hey, you got to live outside your comfort zone and work 55, 60 hours a week and find new prospects every day for the next 45 years. And if you do that enough, you can retire one day. Guys, that's not a dream, okay? The dream is go sell out, go do what other people are unwilling to do for a period of time, so that you can then in turn live like nobody else gets to live. And so my business today, you guys, looks a lot different, right? My phone rings a couple times a month with some version of this phone call or a message I get. Hey, Tyson, so-and-so gave us your number, said you've been doing a great job with them. They said, you're the guy we need to talk to. We have some questions. Would you possibly be willing to meet with us? Some version of that call, you guys, 2, 3, 4 times every single month happens to me. That wasn't happening 5, 7, 10 years ago. It certainly wasn't happening. It probably took me 5 or 6 years for that to happen one time in my business, okay? So you guys, the seeds of this come from contacting. So my personal contacting, you guys, is less now than it was maybe 10 years ago. It's certainly a lot less than I was when I got started, but I want to set that stage, you guys, because the metric I used for years is, you guys, you should be contacting 15 to 20 people a week in this business, minimum. You guys, that's minimum, okay? And I don't want to lie to you about that. I don't want to tell you, hey, just call 1 or 2 people a week and eventually it's going to materialize into something, because it's just not true. I don't think that's ever going to get anybody the things that they joined our business for. Okay. So you all have to make some determinations, as I did, on what do I want out of this business and how big of a business do I want? How many people do I want to influence? But you guys, that's 15 to 20 minimum contacts a week. Does that mean 15 to 20 brand new people every single week? No, I don't think it means that. I think it's going to be probably 5 to 8 new people a week, especially when you're getting going in the business. But there's going to be follow-ups and other things. And as we get into this, I want to touch on some Wealth Wave tools. And man, the tools that we have at our disposal that we didn't have 20 years ago are unbelievable, right? The branding and all the collateral around it. But you guys, I just want to set the stage of how do we get your contacting up massively? Because listen, this is a contact sport, right? I heard that my first week in this business, and it's as true today. The more you contact people, the more good things are going to happen. The more you're going to shorten your learning curve, because you're going to compress activity and experience and field training appointments in a shorter period of time, and you're going to become self-sufficient in this business a lot quicker. So I'm going to share my screen here and just go through a couple of key concepts here. So what I'm sharing, and I got to move some stuff around here. Come on. So I put something together years and years ago, and very little of this, if any of it, is original material from my brain, okay? I'm just a good plagiarizer in this business, and I'm going to cover for you guys some things that I learned. Oops. Well, we'll start here. Look on the left of your screen. I won't try to mess with it, because I want to cover some things that I learned early in my business. I'm talking like my first month, that really haven't changed in 20 years. Now it's amazing. Think about everything in our life is different, right? So some mechanism. I mean, believe it or not, you guys, when I joined the business, text messaging was not a thing. Like, your phone called people. That was it. I mean, some of you actually think I'm kidding. Okay. I mean, we're not even talking about no Facebook and stuff. Like, there was no text. There was no videos. There was you pick up the phone and you call people. And I can't possibly tell you how bad I was at that very skill. I was scared like crazy about it. This was not from today, but literally 3 days ago, I did our annual review with who I consider to be my first real client that wasn't like my sister or my mom or something like that. Like, they've been with me literally for 20 years. And it's just, I could do a whole training on that and the unbelievable experience that is and the relationship we've built. But the point is, like, I still vividly remember calling them. I got their number as a referral from a college friend, and the person was a couple years into a workplace job. And I was so nervous. I scripted out the whole thing on a yellow pad, called, and by the grace of God, they agreed to meet with me. And I mean, I can do a whole training on that. But the point is, you guys, I was taught this perpetual warm market system by Phil, who got it from Bryce, who got it from who knows where, right? This stuff's been around forever. But you guys, how many of us are actually executing this system? Because see, the genius of it is its simplicity, okay? Just because something doesn't need to be complicated to be good, right? And sometimes we dismiss things that are simple. But I want to start with this because all the challenges that many of you are having in the business, hey, listen, we're all having challenges in the business. I've got challenges I'm facing, right? They might be different, but they're challenges. It's probably because we're drifting from something that we know we should be doing. And so one of the challenges a lot of people have, and I'll just put a baseline metric. If you're not at least making 6 figures, if you're not at least an SMD, you have a prospecting problem in your business. I'm just going to make that statement. You have a lack of contacts in your business. You have a lack of activity. You have a scarcity of people to call. You're probably spending time thinking about, gosh, who can I call? Where am I going to meet new people? I got to go join something. That's probably a lot of the thoughts you're having right now. So the question becomes, how do you permanently solve that? Well, it's a perpetual system. There is no beginning and there is no end other than the beginning is obviously when you start the business. So you're going to start with a top 25 list. So here's something I would recommend you track. Andy, I know, has tracked this early in his career, and I'm willing to bet he still does, but he used to track how many people am I calling and how many people am I meeting with and what are their results. In fact, I'm going to maybe call him in a second here. But I think, man, I was taught this, out of every 25 people you contact, you should meet with 15 of them, right? That's an average, right? So don't get caught up if you're not exactly there at 25 people, but go contact 250 people. I think you should meet with at least 15. If you're not, I would suggest to you that your script is wrong. We're going to talk about scripts in a minute and what makes a right script and a wrong script. And that's not a subjective thing, by the way. So 15 presentations, and that should yield some results. If you're meeting with 15 people and not getting 2 out of 3 to do some sort of business with you, I think there's a flaw in your presentation. That's a whole other training. But you guys, I'm putting the bar high here, right? And guys, this is a serious business, and there's serious money and serious futures and serious things that we do for people at stake. And I look at this not just inwardly, but outwardly. You guys, I have a responsibility when I'm sitting with somebody, because I might be the only shot they have at this stage of their life to make the right financial decisions. And I need to do some things to get them to hear this information in a way where they're going to take action on it. So tonight's not about presenting, but I just want to throw that out there. And then out of clients you're doing business with, you're going to get some referrals, and then you're going to get some recruits. Those recruits are going to bring top 25 lists, and top 25 lists feed your new invitations. So just a couple quick things. Number one, this is the separator of our business platform versus so many others in financial services, because in other areas of financial services, you're going to start with your warm market list. You're going to call those people, meet, you're going to get some clients, you're going to ask for some referrals, but that system is going to run dry fairly quickly, because you're going to find that not all new clients are going to give you referrals right away. That's true of me today. Guys, my best referrals come, those phone calls I get, they're typically from clients that have been clients of mine for at least 3 years, just to kind of guesstimate that. Every once in a while, somebody's excited when we first do business. Hey, you got to talk to my partner or my son or my neighbor, whatever. But most of the time, they're people that you've built relationships, and they've seen the value of what you do. So the reality is, how else are we going to keep that pipeline full of warm market names? Well, that's where recruits come into play. Because if I recruit, my latest personal recruit is Kyle, who I'm going to call on here in a little bit. If I got to know Kyle, and let's say Kyle and his wife Riley became clients of mine, maybe Kyle gives me a name or two of a buddy on the team or friends or something, just to kind of be nice, or throw me a bone if I ask him a referral. But inwardly, he's thinking, I don't know, I don't want to put anybody in a weird position, and there's nothing in it for me. And, what if it goes badly? He's maybe thinking those things, right? Or somebody in Kyle's position. But I give Kyle an opportunity in business, and all of a sudden he's got an economic incentive to not only identify all the best people in his life, but help me get in front of them. And it's not for me to make them clients for me. They're obviously all going to be for Kyle. Any teammates we bring on board are going to be on Kyle's team. But you guys understand, leveraging our system is the key to getting in and staying in warm markets all the time. And so my question for you that you can answer with your own trainer separate from this training is, where's the breakdown in this system, right? What needs a bit more oil? Well, let's look at this and let's look at your results and say, okay, where's the breakdown, and how do we remedy that? And you guys, that is the challenge of this business that you never really escape. Guys, this is the same system I'm going to be teaching my kids when they join the business in 15 years, right? It's never going to change. Technology will always augment the mechanisms of how you contact people potentially, but this is always going to be a kneecap to kneecap business. And that's really powerful. So the next thing I want to jump into is and by the way, where I'm pulling this is from the team playbook. This is available to everybody as a download right on my More Super Team page. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here. So I want to talk about the mindset behind networking and prospecting. You guys, this is key. This is what unlocked the business for me. This is a bit of my words in here of lessons I learned early in my business. But you guys, prospecting and contacting, this is straight from Rich Solly, those are two distinctly separate things. And where I think a lot of people go wrong is they try to combine those things into one deal. And they get ahead of themselves, they get out over their skis on one phone call, and they may not use these exact words, but the conveyance of the call is, hey, this is Tyson. I'm in a business I'm really excited about, and I'm curious if you have a financial advisor. I'd love to show you what I do and maybe be your financial advisor. Are you interested in meeting? Right? And you're forcing people to instantly make a decision that they're not comfortable making. Certainly not on the fly, certainly not out of the blue. And so I want to separate the prospecting and the contacting as two very different things. Okay. So the prospecting is simply meeting people, building a relationship, making a friend, getting to know potentially their hot buttons, and then the approach or the contact, you guys, that is a distinct separate contact that I'm going to do, where I'm purposely calling them to set up a meeting to discuss my business. I'm not calling to see if they're interested. I don't care if they have a financial advisor or not. I don't care if they have $1 million in savings or nothing. I don't care if they're interested in joining a new business or they hate their job or love their job. I'm calling because I want a meeting. So when I say you should meet with 60% of the people you call, that's because I'm lowering the bar of what's required to meet. I'm making it really easy for people to agree to meet with me because I'm not going to make it uncomfortable, right? So what I have right here, the purpose of an initial call is you get the commitment to sit down with you in person. Any information you share with them beyond that's needed for that goal, it's counterproductive. So you guys, this phone call should be very short. I mean, it should be like you can say, hey, how you doing? How's your day? Whatever. But once you start going into a script, and the last thing we're going to cover here tonight is the script, then I mean, that should be a 60 to 90 second phone call and you're out. Because if you go longer than that, now you're losing control of the contact. Now they're going to start deciding, hey, do I want to spend the time and commit to meeting with this person or not? Do I want to go to that presentation he's telling me about? Or can I get just enough information right now to basically decide if I'm interested or not? That's what prospects are going to attempt to do with you. Okay. And so what you've got to do is you've got to combat that by not giving them that chance. I want somebody to make a decision about my business when they've heard a full scope of what I do. And that could be a one-on-one meeting. Now it could be done via Zoom and or in person, or a BPM, preferred obviously right now via Zoom. So the reality, you guys, is all I got to do is get them to the table to have that conversation, because that's where I can build the relationship. That's where I can gather more hot buttons. That's where I can gain some trust and credibility and get a spouse on board and all the things we do. Again, beyond tonight's training, that's a presentation training. But you guys, I'm just talking about setting up that call, okay? You guys, the art of this is to share enough information to disturb or intrigue them where they're willing to get together, but not enough to formulate opinion. I've kind of talked through some of this a little bit, but these are some important points. Make the decision for someone to meet with you as easy as possible. Hey, do you have 20 to 30 minutes? I want to meet with you over coffee. Hey, let's go grab a drink. Hey, let's huddle up after the gym one day. Whatever is appropriate in that relationship, right? But I'm not saying, hey, do you have 3 hours to come, attend a seminar or whatever the case is. I'm going to make it easy for that. You guys, this is a critical thing. This next point, this is where I see a lot of people struggle, is never accept a time excuse. So you guys, the easiest excuse that anybody will give you is a time excuse. And it's basically some version of I'm busy, okay? There might be 50 versions of that. Oh, we got soccer and baseball and t-ball and whatever right now and all that stuff, right? Guys, listen, everybody's busy. So here's a simple key to get around the time excuse. You're not going to win if you just yell at them or have some sort of Jedi mindset, right? Simple key. I want to separate the commitment for them to meet with me from a specific time in the beginning, okay? So what I'm going to do is, and you'll see this in the script, I want to basically say, hey, I'm excited about what I'm doing. I'd love to sit down with you for 20, 30 minutes, show you all about it. Is that something you'd be willing to do? I'm going to get the yes, sure, I can do that, Tyson, before I say, okay, well, what are you doing Tuesday night? Hey, can you do something Thursday night at 6:30? So let me work this backwards. What I'm not going to do is call somebody and say, hey, Joe, hey, what do you got going on Thursday night at 6:30? I don't know what. And all of a sudden you start telling Joe what's going on. He's going to get real busy on Thursday night at 6:30, So I'm going to get the commitment first. Yeah, I could probably do that at some point. Guys, somebody will agree to meet with you if there's a relationship and if it's a small enough ask, which this is, okay? And now that they've agreed, then I can set the time. And then there's going to be a little bit of give and take on schedules or whatever, and that's just the business we're all in. But you guys understand, when you're scheduling an appointment, when you already have that commitment in hand, it's a much different proposition than trying to set a meeting when that person is still trying to weasel themselves out of that commitment. Does that make sense? So before I keep moving on, I wanted to go around the horn a bit, and I've asked 3 guys, all newer in the business, to just talk about one key that they've learned, or maybe 2 keys that they've learned in the business, in terms of what they've learned from how they first started contacting people to maybe what they're doing now. And so I want to go in order of seniority in the business, starting with the newest person. So I'm going to call on Kyle. And sorry, I got to get into gallery view here. Kyle, can you unmute yourself? And I know you and I were having a conversation about this maybe a week or 10 days ago, about just a little pivot you can make in your scripts and what you were doing. And why don't you share that with the group?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is less is more, especially in the initial contact. And the one thing that we shared, Tyson especially, was getting someone to commit to helping you right away. And so that was kind of how I started off my newer contacts in the last week or so, is asking people for help. And when you have a relationship with someone, when you ask them for help, I think people that genuinely like you are going to be more inclined to say yes. And then you go into setting up, this is what's going on Thursday. But when you prime the pump, which is the way that we talked about it, Tyson, priming the pump for someone to help you, then they feel like when they're coming on Thursday, they're doing something to help you, which makes them feel good. And then it becomes a symbiotic relationship, because eventually we're trying to get people to the same side of the table. So if they feel like they're helping you, that gives you the option to help them, which is exactly what we're trying to create.
Awesome. Yeah, because Kyle called me. I was like, we were having a conversation one day, and I'm like, hey, how are your contacts going? He's like, well, there's a couple of people that aren't interested. I'm like, what do you mean they're not interested? Like, not interested in what? He's like, well, they're all set for now or whatever. And I'm like, well, we got to back this train up a little bit here, because we're probably forcing them to make a decision about something that they don't even know what you're doing yet. And so it kind of feeds into what we just covered. So awesome. I think you've seen a pickup in your activity just since making that shift, haven't you?
Yeah, certainly. Literally after we had that discussion, the next phone call that I made literally started with, can I ask for your help? And his answer was, of course. And then we went from there. And within 2 minutes of talking, I had a BPM guest who, is ready to sit down with his wife, and then is even possibly interested in becoming a teammate. So it was just a complete shift. Yeah. And it was great that there was some positive reinforcement right after that.
That's so awesome. I mean, that phone call, the trajectory of that phone call, I'll do it. That was you guys, was instantly different. Everything was different after this guy starts listening to you from the context of, how can I help Kyle? What does Kyle need? As opposed to, hey, what's Kyle trying to sell me? Hey, what's his agenda? Right? I mean, it's just a game changer. So I love that. Hey, let me go to Jake Tony, been in business just a bit longer than Kyle.
Yes, sir. Hey, thanks, Tyson.
Better than Kyle, so.
I was there for a hockey player, so I think he wins. Yeah, hey, thanks, man. That was great stuff, Kyle. So I've got a few points, guys, that I wanted to cover. And the first one I wanted to touch on was, especially for the new people, and I'm still kind of working my way through this. Just accept the fact that it's gonna feel a little uncomfortable, right? Even if you feel like you knock out the script and you crush the conversation, and it feels free flowing, it's probably still gonna feel a little bit new because it's new, right? So you got to accept the fact that you might be a little uncomfortable at first, and that's okay. Help first mentality. So don't think about selling, think about helping. I'm actually reading a book called Help First, and it's a great read. I would recommend that because again, it's about having that help mentality rather than hey, I need to sell this. And Tyson touched on that when he was talking about during the training here. The next one, confidence in your knowledge and expertise. So that's going to grow as you get more time in the business, as you go through the life insurance stuff, as you get your Series 6, the confidence will continue to grow, and that will have huge dividends in your conversations. I've been feeling that as I've been growing. Free flowing conversation. So again, I kind of touched on this. It's going to gradually shift from scripting and to just building relationships and just having conversations with people. I think that's going to be a huge key for a lot of you as you continue to grow, including myself, of course. And then the last one I wanted to touch on was keep in mind, and I'll give you a specific example. Keep in mind that every contact, even if it's not something that results in a direct result with the person you're talking to, everyone counts. So I had somebody who I reached out to recently who she was already with an advisor, but she a few short days after that, she actually referred me to her sister, and I was like shocked. I was like, wow. I mean, we didn't even have really any conversations. And in fact, she was already with a separate advisor, but she still referred her sister to me. That's what I'm talking about. When even if you reach out to somebody, maybe for whatever reason it doesn't work, you still might have some follow up. You still might hear from that person later on. So that is all I have for my bit here.
Awesome. That's great stuff, Jake. I love that mentality, man. And Jake's picking up big time momentum. I've been getting texts from Jake lately where, man, I just crushed a presentation. And I love the energy and I love the confidence you're building. So that's super cool. Yeah. Hey, the last guy I wanted to go around the horn on, been in business with us just a couple of years part-time, is Joe Kaiser. Joe, are you there?
I am.
Give us some wisdom, Joe. What have you learned since you first started making contacts to how you're maybe doing it now?
I think the biggest thing was, it might have slightly been touched on a little bit already, was that, man, at the beginning, you're pressing and you fumble. And the less is more mentality is really huge. But also, honestly, the last couple of weeks, like I've had more conversations with Bart Tyson, and a guy that we met with that that lost his job at Marathon, and maybe doesn't seem like this is the thing that he wants to do, but just the other day, I just followed up genuinely with, hey man, how's things going? Whether he ever becomes a teammate or not is now irrelevant to me. And maybe 18 months ago, I would have pushed the envelope on, man, you should come and do this. You should come and do this kind of thing. But we've rekindled a relationship from 18 years ago. And, he just texted me the other day, man, this interviewing sucks. I none of them have gone right. Nothing, the cultures don't fit. And I said, man, when we chatted, it wasn't an interview, dude. That's just how we are. And our door's always open. So he says, shoot me the link again. So I don't know if he's on tonight or not, and it's fine either way. And I think that's the biggest thing. I had a couple conversations with some people today at work, and I got to commend Tyson on this. And also I see it in Andy a lot in these trainings, is that they are super good listeners. Their wives might disagree, but they are super good listeners. And and I was just talking to a couple gals I work with today, and out of both of their mouths, I gave them a book a month ago or so, and just out of their mouths today, like both their husbands or significant others hate their jobs. They're burnt out. They don't want anything to do with it anymore.
Yeah.
Well, hey guys, here's some information. Check it out if you want. So I guess the biggest thing is, before it was, I'm looking at a list and I got to call this person. And I was very bam, 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 bam. And now it's more, this is what I do. And this is why I love it. And if you want to check it out, you know.
Man, that's awesome, Joe. I absolutely love that. And I think you guys can tell that Joe's coming into his own. He's finding his style. And, you know, Rich Cunningham is a great leader in our business. He has this phrase he always says, he's like, you got to take the script and you have to personalize it and you have to naturalize it. Okay. So if it sounds too regurgitated, it's not going to be natural. And if it's not you, if it's not how you normally talk and express yourself, it's not going to be personal. It's not going to be authentic. And so I want you to keep that in mind when we go through my script, because I told you there's a right script and a wrong script. That's a fact. Okay. Now you can take the outline and you can personalize it and naturalize it. But there's, you know, there's a phrase, and I hear people get this. I'm going off script here, but I hear people get this wrong, but I want to make this point and I want you to write this down. Okay. You guys, you can absolutely say the wrong thing to the right person. Okay. You know, sometimes people say, man, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Guys, that's false. You can absolutely take the right person, but you can say the wrong words. You can get out of order. You can, you know, not follow the outline here, and you can turn them off from the business. You can lead them to make a conclusion in their minds that's not different. I also, by the way, I think long-term, I don't think you can say the right thing to the wrong person. I think short-term, you can get a result there. I think short-term motivation, you know, you can get somebody to maybe join a business, but they just kind of filter off after 30, 60 days. You can get somebody to buy a product, but maybe not keep it. Now, that I'm not really talking about our hierarchy here, but I think you see a bit more of that in the company, because I think motivation alone, you know, intensity alone, I think you can say the right thing to the wrong person, but you absolutely can say the wrong thing to the right person. So that's why learning this stuff is so key, because we only have, as you all know, one chance to make a first impression with somebody. And the better you get at contacting, the more fluid, the more personal, the more natural that becomes, it will exponentially lead to more results. So I'm going to give you a couple more outlines, and we're going to go through the script and give you guys some resources. So you guys, finishing the last two bullet points on here that I want to make sure we cover. Each one of these, you guys, is going to take a lot of time for you to unpack and work on in your business. But these are just some things that have been so key to me over the years. Number one, the first one I'm going to cover is being presumptive conveys confidence. I assume everyone I talk to will at least be intrigued by what I'm doing, even if it will eventually not prove to be the right fit. So I say things like, instead of saying, Tyler, you're in my view right now. So instead of, hey, Tyler, man, would you be interested in getting together sometime and finding out what I do in business? Yeah, that's a bad script. Because I don't want Tyler, I don't want to ask Tyler a question that he can easily say no to. Because see, that's really easy for him to do. I'm gonna say something in a way where Tyler's gonna have to go out of his way to change the trajectory of the conversation. So follow me on this. What if I just made a little pivot? What if instead of saying, Tyler, hey, would you ever be interested? Tyler, would you ever have time? Tyler, do you think you could ever meet with me, right? Oh, geez, Tyson, maybe, but I'm busy, and call me after the holidays. And it's just so easy for him to say that. But what if I say, hey, Tyler, I really, man, based on what I know about you, I've seen what you've done in business and kind of off the field a bit. And I mean, I think it really makes sense that you and I get together sometime and chat. You know, what's a good time for you? See the momentum I just created in that call. Not number one, I paid him a subtle compliment. It was genuine, but I just created momentum in that call. Now that it would take a lot of work for Tyler to turn that whole thing around and say, oh, geez, Tyson, I just don't want to get together with you. He's not going to do that. What's Tyler going to say? He's going to say, sure, yeah. I mean, I guess we could get lunch or something. Because I've done that hundreds of times. I say, I think it makes sense that we get together. I'd love to get together with you sometime. What's a good time next week? Andy, I'd love to get lunch with you sometime, man. What's a good day for you to get lunch? I always phrase things in a presumptive tone. You guys, number one, it's more effective. Number two, it intrigues them more. Yes, people are magnetically attracted to confidence. Okay. That's definitely true in the dating world. And it's absolutely true in the prospecting world. It's true in the political world, you guys. Confidence conveys a lot. So the second point kind of goes on to that. The last thing I want to cover, you guys, is always be prepared. Okay. You guys got to know the words of this business. You got to be familiar with this business. And I don't have time to get into all these resources, but I want to pivot over here. And are you guys seeing the WealthWave website here now? No? Okay. I'm going to do a new share. All right. I'm willing to bet that this is a massively underutilized resource on our team. I'm just willing to make a bet. So I want to encourage you guys, when you're looking for something to do, or where can I get more information? Where can I learn more? Where can I all that? Okay. This is a great resource. Go to wealthwave.com, click on the team tab right here. Oops. This is tricky on Zoom. Click on the team tab. It's not going. Okay. I'm going to hang on a second. I'm just going to tell you guys how to do it. Go on the team tab, and then there's a password that's going to come up. And on that password, here we go. On that password, the password is disruption. Okay. DISRUPTION, disruption. Once you click on disruption, that's going to get you down into a page that looks like this. Are you guys seeing videos, events, leadership live? Okay. I'm going to stop clicking around because it doesn't follow on the screen share. But you guys, there are hundreds of 4K streamed videos on here. Go on Leadership Live. That's what we're going to participate on down in January at our event. The videos are a bunch of training. There's training on how to use all the tools. How do I launch the books? How do I use my website? How do I use social media? How do I send videos? How do I customize my everything, right? All of it is on here. It's unbelievable, the resources. And you guys, I can't tell you how many, gosh, hundreds of hours of content I've consumed in my careers on tapes and CDs and recordings and live streams. And now I have these resources of leaders listening to how they talk. And you might, one of you might resonate with different leaders, but you're going to find some people that you kind of materialize, or you like how they say a certain thing. You guys, I literally copied what Phil, I'd sit in a back row of a training with him, and I'd hastily scribble notes down as he was doing stuff. And I would just literally copy what he said. I would do a phone call exactly how we did a phone call. I would do a presentation exactly how we did a presentation. That was my presentation. And then I've augmented a bit over the years and naturalized it a little bit. But you guys, I just wanted to point out to you guys, I hope you are utilizing these resources because it's a really big deal. So moving on, we're down to probably our last 5 minutes here. I want to make sure we get to the most important part of the whole training. I'm going to go back here. Hopefully the playbook is back up for you guys. The last point here before we move on, which guys, this can be a whole training on itself. We don't attract who we want, we attract who we are. That's one of the reasons you're all on our team, is that I think you're going to attract people like yourselves, and we want to attract quality people. So that has a lot to do with prospecting. Hey, I want to just do this real quick. This is a third-party referral script. You guys, I have used this script for 20 years. I use this script on a weekly basis. I teach this script. I've got millions of dollars of income from this script, okay? And so, and I haven't changed it in 20 years. I'll augment a bit of the wording based on who I'm talking to, right? This script, and Andy will chuckle at this script has worked in WMA, it's worked in Investment Advisors International, it's worked in World Financial Group, it's worked in Managed Wealth Financial, it's worked with Transamerica Financial Advisors, and now it's working with WealthWave, okay? You can use whatever company name you want. You know, now you got all the videos and stuff behind you. But here's the script, you guys. Hey, I'm going to use Tyler again. He's right in my view. Hey, Tyler, how you doing? He's going to answer something. Oh, I'm good. What's up with you? And I'm going to go right into this. I don't know if you've heard, but I've recently begun a career in the financial industry, and I'm calling to ask you for your help. Guys, that's the $1 million line right there. And I didn't get this, you guys. I got this actually from basically a combination of Eric Jensen and a couple other people 20 years ago. But number one, I don't know if you've heard, that gets their attention right away. Another version of that I use sometimes is, hey, Tyler, can I talk to you about something really serious for a minute? Because I want to get their attention right away. And I want them to know that this is a call that isn't just about, hey, man, you want to drink beers with me later? You know, so I don't know if you've heard, subtly makes them think, gosh, should I have heard? What's going on? What's the update, right? I've recently begun a career in the financial industry. You can, again, augment those words, but the outline is key. I'm calling to ask you for your help, right with what Kyle just told us. I'm looking to build my business through trust relationships, and you came quickly to mind. So again, I'm implying a complimentary statement there, that not only do I want to build with trust relationships, which is implying that I can be trusted, but I'm also saying I trust you. I'm also saying I respect you. I also think trust relationships is a phrase that means something to everybody, but not everybody hears almost ever. Nobody talks like that. So you're going to intrigue them even more. Here comes the presumptive statement. I'd like to get together with you at some point to show you what I'm doing. I'm really excited about it, and I think it might be up your alley. And then a subtle takeaway. If it interests you, great. But if not, no big deal. I'm really looking to see if you might be willing to introduce me to some people I could help. Guys, that's it. I haven't changed that in 20 years, and I won't change it for the next 30 years, because all I'm doing is I'm being presumptive. I'm complimenting them. I'm intriguing them. I'm being presumptive in that statement, right? I'm conveying that I'm excited about what I'm doing. And then I'm doing a subtle little takeaway. Hey, it might interest you. I think it will. Planting a little seed there. I think it will interest you, but it's okay if it doesn't. So I'm saying, hey, no pressure here. I'm really, and now I'm getting beyond them. I'm really just seeing if you might be willing to introduce me to some people. So I'm taking away the pressure of, I'm trying to sell you something, Tyler. Hey, Tyler, this is a meeting to try to convince you to join something. I'm going to try to convince you to buy something. Yes, people are getting hit up like crazy with invitations like that from all walks of life, okay? So I'm getting beyond that issue. And by the way, you also notice that I'm getting the commitment here before I set the time. And I can go on, and it's on the script you can read, but once I get the commitment, yeah, sure, I could do that sometime. From that point forward, I'm going to pivot to either a one-on-one or a BPM invite. So you guys, there's one last thing I want to cover, and I'll open up for any questions before we wrap up tonight. And that's just something to help you unlock this whole prospecting thing. So I think where people struggle with prospecting is when they get stuck where they're too inwardly focused. They get into this idea of like, what if it doesn't go right? What are they going to think about me? What if I fumble my words? What if they say no? What if all this stuff, right? And typically we're too inwardly focused. And I just want to give you guys permission to be outwardly focused. And this is something, just a fun little story, again, from basically this week, is you guys, you get to be anybody you want when you prospect, right? I'm not telling you to lie and be somebody that you're not, but you get to be anybody you want. Your life might not be where you want it to be right now. Your finances might not be where you want it to be. You might even be having a crappy day. But when you meet somebody new, as we all do every single day in our lives, you have the opportunity in that moment to step up and be a leader and make an impact on their life. And I, again, have hundreds of examples I could give you. But you guys, a couple weeks ago, we're having our basement finished right now, and it was drywall delivery day. There's really no great way of getting big sheets of drywall down in my basement with turning around stairs and all that. And anyways, these guys show up, and the guy that clearly was kind of like the manager of the crew, you know, he comes to me and we're talking about it, and he's like, man, this is a really nice house, man. I just don't feel good about bringing all these sheets in. We're going to ding your walls up and all this stuff. And basically this guy went unbelievably out of his way. He actually took a windowsill completely out of the frame of the window. And these guys probably spent 3 hours doing a 1 hour job. Okay. just to go above and beyond. And this guy, I mean, he was in jeans and all that, but clearly presented himself well. Clearly just, you could just tell he's the kind of guy that's just a guy to be dependent on. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, what's this guy doing delivering drywall? Like this guy's got to be worth more in life than this. And in the context of our conversation, I kind of figured he wasn't really, you know, he's just the kind of guy that, hey, can you go run this? Can you man that? He just gets called on to do a lot of different things. So I got his card and I didn't talk about business whatsoever. I didn't say, hey, look at my house. You curious what I do for a living or nothing like that, right? All I said was I just made a meaningful contact with him. Hey, man, thanks, appreciate it, whatever. Got his card. A couple of days later, I called him and his secretary answered, receptionist at the business. And I said, hey, is Jordan there? And, you know, she said, no. I'm like, what are you calling for? I didn't want to compromise his job by basically saying, well, I'm calling to see if he wants to do something better. So I just said, well, it's a personal matter. Could I leave him a voicemail? And she's like, well, I'll tell you what, I can give you his email address. I'm like, okay. So I sent this guy an email. And in that email, I basically gave him some really authentic compliments. And I just said, hey, man, you clearly did way more than anybody would expect. I learned a lot about your character in that day. And I didn't tell you anything about what I do in business, but I run a business that teaches people how money works. And I'm always looking for people that I think are worth more than their current employment allows them to perform. Some version of that. And this guy, a day later, emails me back and he's like, a very complimentary email and said, I'm always open for new opportunities. Thank you so much. I remember your job. By the time this whole email thing happened, it was about a week later. And anyways, in a subsequent phone call, the guy got emotional with me on the phone. He's like, dude, I read my wife that email and I thought it was a joke. He's like, nobody's ever talked to me like that before. Nobody's ever said those things, complimented me. I never even get told thank you. I'm kind of, this reminds me of Joe Kaiser. The guy went from like, yeah, my job's pretty good to, man, I freaking hate this place pretty quick when you give him a platform to talk. And you guys, America is full of guys like this that outwardly look like they've got a good deal, that you think have it all together, that quietly and secretly freaking hate what they do, okay? This is the mission. This is why I'm so flipping fired up doing things that I don't have to be doing. And somebody might say, well, gosh, I'd recruit somebody too if, they saw a big house and it'd be credibility and all that. But I was thinking about that and I'm like, it would have been just as easy for me not to do anything and move on with my busy life, right? But I've fallen in love with finding people that are underemployed and underappreciated and underutilized. And I'm going to spend the next 25 to 30 years of my life getting behind these people and helping them build extraordinary lives, helping pull the best part out of them. And this guy came into my office. That was last Thursday that I ended up doing that follow-up phone call. He came in and met with me Monday night. We had a really personal conversation. It was about 5% about business and 95% about family and kids and life and all that. And he's on the BPM right now and can't wait to see what happens with this guy. And you guys, that's the gift. That's what everybody can do in this business. And I've recruited people over the years in all sorts of ways by just paying attention as I live my life. So typically when we're really struggling with, man, who do I call? Where am I going to go? I usually would point you to the idea that you're probably inwardly focused. And if you just get out of it and say, you know what if I don't care about the outcome, but I'm just going to go make a new friend. I'm just going to go make somebody's day. I'm just going to go spread some love and positivity and affirmation. It will unlock some incredible things. I will submit to you. It'll probably make you more fluid and more natural and come across even more confident because you're not worried about whether they say yes or no. And big things might happen to you in your business. So hopefully this is giving you guys some value. I encourage you guys to read the playbook. You guys, I don't get any royalties if you use the playbook or not. I could care less, but it's a freaking resource that's been the key to my entire business. So I hope you use this and I hope you personalize and naturalize these things and ramp up your prospecting business. So any questions before we turn it over? All right, I think the group is really pumped. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Stace.
All right. Thank you, Tyson. That was good stuff. I am, let's see here. Tyson, can you make me the host so that I can share my screen later? And
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Andy. Are you ready to do announcements and recognition?
I am, but first, that was a great training. Hearing from Joe and Kyle and Jake was great. I hope some of you guys got, identified with that. Also, if you're in my base shop, the training should have sounded familiar, right? These are universal principles that work. And then the delivery, Tyson, just telling the stories that you did and being a little vulnerable and stuff was amazing, and hopefully is able to help some of you guys out there see what's possible and how you can do it. So thank you so much for doing that tonight, Tyson. In terms of recognition for me, I wanted to recognize directly from the contest leaderboard. I guess I won't pull it up until we get to that point, but I had some people really make a move this week. Gavin Daly had a new meeting, but also submitted an app, which is excellent, worth 5 points. Congratulations, Gavin. I know you're working hard. The fruits of those labors are starting to show. Mitch Borst making a move on the board as well, had 3 new presentations and has some business cooking from those presentations. And Tyler Chamberlain making a move on the board as well. Had 2 new presentations and 1 new app submitted, another one on the way. So he's making a move too. And then George Calton has had high activity and will have high results coming in apps. And I believe some teammates here coming soon. So great job to those 4 folks that I recognize for making a move on the leaderboard, which you'll see when we pull that up. That's it for me.
Okay, cool. Nice job there, guys. And I will go to Daniel next. Daniel, announcements and recognition.
Yeah, I want to recognize Joe Sinesi again. I believe he had 3 guests on tonight, which is a really big deal. And more than that, this week, we had a follow-up from a guest last week, which will become Joe's first client. And potentially a teammate. We got to iron out the ladder there, but he's just getting to work now that he's kind of recovered from his surgery and starting to see some results from that. So I just wanted to give him a shout out and recognize him. You'll see some of those numbers here soon on the Leaders Bulletin for the Wealth Wave trip.
All right, good stuff there. Tyson, you're up.
All right. I'm still unmuted. Hey, awesome. A couple announcements and then we'll do recognition first and then announcements. Recognition, I want to recognize Jake Tony. Awesome job tonight. And, he sent me a text a couple days ago that literally said, just crushed a personal meeting. Can't wait with you to get you involved, and goes on to some details there. But anyways, I just love that. I love the initiative, and this guy's starting to take the baton away and run with it, which is really awesome. I want to recognize Jason Reynolds. Most of you don't know Jason, just he's out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but he had a few guests on our BPM last week and some good follow-up opportunity from that. And then I got a text. I want to recognize Ryan Wagner down in Dayton. I'm excited. Most of you have probably never met Ryan, but you're going to get a chance to tomorrow night. Ryan sent me a text last night that said, I won't try to find it here, but it basically said, I just delivered my biggest personal IUL in the history of my business, which is always awesome. Signed, sealed, delivered, 1035, everything completely on his own. And you guys, that's always exciting, but it's just fun to track these steps. And you guys, we just have some fun activity going on all over the team. Man, I'm getting calls from Daniel on super exciting stuff he's working on. Andy's got some super exciting stuff. So guys, our super team is popping right now, and that's really awesome. So two quick announcements. One, I would ask you guys, it would be a big favor to me if you could jump on our Zoom call tomorrow at noon. I'll repost it to bump it up to the top of the group me. But Global Atlantic is making a contribution towards our dinner tomorrow. And anyways, I just told him I'd get as many guys on there as I can, and it'll be valuable. He's not going to spend a ton of time, but he just has to kind of check that compliance box that, he did a presentation on that day. So if we could get some people on there, that'd be really valuable. And then tomorrow night, you guys, I think most of you know this, but my cell phone number, if any of you, so depending on what GPS you use, it's either going to bring you to our house or it's going to take you a quarter mile away. So if you use Apple, I always get it mixed up. Which one works? Either Apple works and Google's wrong, or the other way around. I can't remember, but it's going to catch half of you guys if you haven't been here. So my cell phone's 419-290-3050. And 6 p.m., guys, hey, we ordered a ton of food today. We're going to have a full barbecue dinner, all the fixins, drinks, dessert, the whole deal. It's going to be a fun night. And it's going to be a chance for everybody to get to know each other and just kind of hang out. And I think the thing I'm most excited about is it's just going to be a freaking non-COVID party. I mean, we're going to be face-to-face. We're going to have some fun. I probably won't post a lot on social media about it, but I think we got 33 people coming, including some kids. And man, guys, come have fun, come comfortable, and we're going to have just an awesome night and just celebrate all the good things that we've got going on as a team. So I'm really pumped about that, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Awesome. We're looking forward to it. Thank you again, Tyson, for hosting this and doing it. And just want to reiterate, spouses, partners, kids, the whole family is welcome. Tyson, will you put your cell phone number in the chat again, just in case people don't have it and they get lost?
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do a post tomorrow too on all our stuff, but yep.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So yeah, looking forward to seeing everyone tomorrow night. That'll be fun. So let me pull up. Now it's my turn, and we're going to talk about the contest. There it is. Okay, so there we go. So the contest, which we'll give a little summary. We're taking a trip to the Wealth Wave headquarters, and you can qualify by having guests come sign in and go to the ZPM, or holding a one-on-one. That's a point. Fixed application, so life insurance or annuities that are fixed, and recruits, licenses that are all across the board here. That's how you earn points. And you need 50 points to qualify to, well, let me back it up. Not to qualify to go, anyone can go, but if you want your costs reimbursed, that's where that starts. So let me pull up first. Sorry, I didn't have this up.
I'll just verbally. So 50 points gets your flight reimbursed, and 100 points, right, gets your flight and hotel reimbursed. Isn't that right, Stacy?
Yes.
Okay. And then the grand prize winner gets a custom video as well as those first two things. But anyone can have those two things happen, flight and hotel reimbursed. The grand prize winner gets those two things plus a custom video with the Andy Horner. But everyone can go and should go, because this will be a vision stretching trip.
Yeah, so it's January 21st and 22nd. The contest is underway and ends on December 31st. And yes, like I think we made this clear, but there's not just one winner. As many people that get 50 points are going to get their hotel reimbursed, and as many people that get 100 points are going to get their flight and hotel up to $250 reimbursed. So get your flights booked, get that, get a babysitter scheduled for them if you need it, and make plans to go. So the leaderboard, which is an exciting part. You guys can still see that, right? Still up on the screen? Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So David and Lisa Wynn coming in at 36. Lionel Brock has moved up to the second spot with 32. Alex still holding in strong at 30. The Hudaks at 22. Adam Griggs, that's a new name on the top of the board with 22. Daniel, Mitch and Jacqueline Borst coming in hot with 18. And then we've got Karen Keller, George Kelton, and Jake Tony all tied at 17 to round out the top 10. So that's awesome stuff, you guys. Keep it going. If you don't know how exactly you score points or how to do that, it's 5 points for any fixed business, 5 points for a personal recruit, 5 points if you get a personal license, and 1 point for every guest or one-on-one that you do. So if you have any other questions, talk to your trainer. You need to report these numbers. If you guys aren't reporting these numbers to your SMD, they're not getting put on there. So go ahead and take a look and make sure that they're accurate. And if you need to send in those numbers, go ahead and do that, and we'll get that on there for next week. So SMDs, is there anything else you want to add on this or anything you want to point out?
Yeah, Stacey, I left out one piece of recognition that ties into this leaderboard. David and Lisa Wynn. You guys, we don't run contests just to run a contest. They should lead towards all the things that we want you to do in the business. And just so you know where that activity leads, I just got a text from David right before the call here. And a lot of you know some of the challenges they've been facing up there, but he just said, I just got so-and-so's rollovers approved today, 775,000 total rollover amount. Guys, that's just one of many, many transactions he's done in the last 60 days. I mentioned last week about, several $1 million in assets picked up, and you guys, all of that is a result of 31 meetings. That's some serious contacting. And I know he's doing a lot of that virtually. So man, that's just an incredible job, and congrats to David and Lisa.
All right, cool. All right, I guess I'll open it up. Anyone else have any recognition or announcements they want to do? All right, guys. Well, that is it. Thanks for joining us. And hopefully we'll see most of you tomorrow night at Tyson's. And have a good night.